2024 has been a hard year for a lot of people. Jobs are being cut. Overseas factories are the trend. AI technology, robotics is starting to take over a bunch of the basic jobs. The nomad travel life is starting to become that American dream or that dream job. And with all of these different options to be successful, to be self-employed, so many people still find a way to screw it up. This comes down to 7 basic reasons why people fail at this whole thing, which is not taking action, lack of consistency, spending too much time copying other people's ideas instead of making their own, spending way too much time on horrible ideas that aren't working, not being very resourceful, or just not having the ability to just figure out problems and solve them, being cheap, not willing to put money down to make money. Nothing is free. And finally, just not getting out of your comfort zone. So today what I want to do is I want to break down these 7 different ideas. So let's not wasting time. Let's get straight into it. Let's start with the very first one, not taking action. When you have a new idea, the first thing you do is you write out the plan. You figure out what you're going to do. And this is a very easy thing to do. All you need is a pen and paper. Writing down this plan, this idea, and not taking action on it and then starting to write another one is something that I like to call the professional planner loop. This is when you just keep writing these ideas that are really good. You just never take action on them. And I've seen this so many times out here, especially with expats, where they'll buy the website, they'll create their logo, they'll set everything up, like the very basic stuff. But it never fails after a few days, after a few weeks, even after a few months, they just kind of fade away from doing the work. And this grand idea that they wrote down and they spent some of this money to start setting up ends up going on their back burner for next year's resolution. When they bring it back, I'm like, oh, I'm going to start doing this again. Does this sound like what you do? When you think of New Year's resolutions, going to the gym, it's something like 83 or 85% of people that start a membership in January never go back after like March. Because what's going on here is we're writing this great idea. We're doing the really easy stuff. But after you do all that, you have to get into the actual work, writing the contact information, contacting customers, building the product. This is where people lose that dopamine hit. And that's what leads us to number 2, the lack of consistency. And consistency goes hand in hand with not even taking action. You have to do the work day after day. Because just building a strong plan is a great idea. If you write down your plan, put it on your iPad, and it works and is good, cool. But if you're not consistent on it, it's not going to go anywhere. Being a nomad, I've met a lot of expats that have done the e-com thing, that were doing online vlogs. However, they end up, after a few months, giving up on that idea and going on to the next great idea. Never finishing anything and just kind of like idea hopping. And this is where consistency really does matter. If you're not willing to put in 6 months of hard work on this idea, honestly, don't even start. And I know this sounds hard, but the reality is nothing happens overnight. So who are we to think after a couple hours, a couple weeks of a good idea, we're supposed to just blow up? And that's where a lot of people get led from. They don't want to have that consistency and they want to just copy somebody else's idea. Have you ever met somebody, or maybe this is you, that just jumps on random trends all the time, never really getting anywhere? And another reason why this doesn't work is a lot of people copycat different ideas, and they never put their own flavor into it. They never add value to that idea. You need to add extra value to your copied product. It's fine to copy somebody's idea, but you need to make more value. And I met a lot of people. They're like, oh, you're a vlogger. I want to do that. And it was always fun to sit down. I got a few free beers out of it. I told them how I did it. I told them about affiliate linking, how I recorded, the software I used. And the next day, they would be like, hey, David, what's up, man? Bought the newest GoPro. Got the biggest kit they could buy. Got everything set up. And they're like, hey, let's go do my first video. Cool, let's go. I'm excited. And we get out there, and we're just recording nothing. They're not talking about anything. Or they're just showing, look, I'm opening my iPad, just nothingness to it. And then they look at me like, how do you do these videos? It looks like you just travel and you're just having fun sharing everything. If you're going to copy somebody's idea, you need to add flavor to it. You need to add your personality to it. You can't just copy something and expect to get instant rewards and gratification. Don't just photocopy their idea and just go with it. You're just going to get flushed into the mix of the other 1,000 people copying the same idea. You need to stand out. And while you're doing this idea, this takes us to our next one, number 4. Working too hard on a dead idea. If you're putting in those 6 months of hard work, you're doing trial and error, you're going through the feedback, you're building up, and it's just not working. That's fine. It might be the time to sit down, really reflect what you're doing, And if you don't know what is wrong with your idea, we have so much AI. There's no reason why you can't research your target markets. So don't always think you're going to be on point. If it's not working, it's not working. Put in your 6 months, trial and error, feedback your information, keep trying to improve it. But if it doesn't work, it's just not going to work. It's time to move on. Now, the next one is about being resourceful. I meet this a lot where people truly want to have their hand held through the entire process of whatever they're doing. And what I started realizing actually really fast was a lot of people were just kind of like asking for the next move, the next step. Nobody ever really figured it out. So do your research and figure it out. Make it work. Take action. Be resourceful. This is something so many people seem to lack for some weird reason. They just want people to hold their hand through the entire process. Number 6, being cheap or unwilling to actually spend money. Now, if it's not people trying to find some way to get rich with pretty much no action, it's somebody trying to find out how to get rich spending no money. You don't make money if you don't have money. And this is something I don't really talk about a lot. One of my bigger incomes is through crypto and trading. And it wasn't some lucky buy Bitcoin and become a millionaire thing. It took me hundreds of hours. I paid for programs and lessons to learn how to do it. This costed me money to actually make it work. The payout has been tenfold more, but it was never, I'm just going to buy some Dogecoin or some Peppy coin and boom, I'm rich. It doesn't work that way. Because these types of shortcuts never work out in any realm of work. You have to put in the work. You have to stand out. So when you start your company, let's say you do an online company, you're going to need to buy the domain. If you're going to be doing like a vlog, you're going to have to buy a camera. And if you're going to do some kind of e-com business, you're going to have to pay for advertisement through Facebook or TikTok or something. These are upfront things you need to do. If it's free for you to do this idea, that means there's thousands, if not millions of other people trying the same exact thing for free like you are trying to get ahead. So I'm going to give you kind of like my rules of engagement. Any business I start, I never put more than $4,000 down. Now for my past businesses, when I first started e-coms, that cost me right about, I think it was like $1,500 for the first month because I had to get the website. I had to order some test products. I had to pay for a lot of adverts. When it came to my YouTube channel, starting this back in like 2014, 15, I think I spent like $2,000. And when it comes to my crypto trading, I think I spent right about $800 or $900 for the entire process. So there's going to be cost. You have to accept this. And if you're trying to just do something for free, go work at McDonald's. They give you free uniforms and they pay you. That is about as free as you're going to get to make money without putting anything in. And the very last thing today before we get out of here is getting out of your comfort zone. The biggest reason I see people fail isn't the money. It's not so much even the laziness. It's the ability to just get out of their comfort zone. I used to have this old mentor and he told me, poor people seek comfort, while the successful seek unresolved pain. If you're always comfortable, you're not going to try. You're not going to push. If you feel uneasy, you're going to fight to get out of that. So start getting outside of that comfort zone. Do things that make you feel uncomfortable until you feel comfortable. When I'm in a comfortable position, I feel like I'm falling behind because I stop pushing myself. I stop being ambitious. I love the fact that I feel uncomfortable most of the time. I'm not 9 years old anymore. I grew up. I'm an adult. I have to act like it. And being uncomfortable is a whole thing about adulthood. So find a problem, find a target market, and solve that problem for those people. So you have 6 months from now to start this new idea and become overly successful or fail and learn valuable lessons that you would never learn going to university for 4 or 5 years. The world is becoming economically damaged. It's falling apart. We all know this. Stop being blind if you think it's not. Start doing something now or just enjoy being poor. It's really that simple.